All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to our YouTube channel. We are about to jump into a live discussion that we had on Instagram, and this is a fun subject. So I'm ready to jump into this discussion and see where it goes. I think we're kind of recording this before the discussion happens, so we have no idea where it's going to go, but we're going to have the camera rolling while we are on Instagram Live, and then we're just posting it back here on YouTube for you guys. So once we get that button pushed, we'll be back and we're jumping into that discussion. So if you see our eyes kind of wandering back and forth, that's what's happening. we're not looking over our shoulder for the cops or something like that. But anyways, thank you guys for checking out our channel. Let's jump into that discussion. What's happening, everyone? Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to hang out here for a few minutes and talk about a subject that we've wanted to talk about for a while. We've kind of seen, we all love guitar. We all love looking for guitar. We all love watching guitar reviews on YouTube. That's what we're all about. We obviously have our own YouTube channel as well. Today's topic is guitar influencers, guitar demo guys. Who can you trust? You ready to dive into this thing?
Let's dive into it.
So I'll start off just with a couple quick thoughts, and I kind of hit you with this topic this morning, so it's very, very new in your mind, and you're trying to, come up with some very eloquent points, right? You have some thoughts that you already shared with me, which I'd love for you to share again. But this is the subject of guitar demo guys and gals. Who can you trust? You're watching these guitar demos, and I sometimes watch them and I think, man, these guys are getting paid, they're getting free gear, they're getting whatever, and all props to them for having that channel and that influence that they can do it. But sometimes you watch the channels and you're like, how do I know if this is really a guitar that I can trust, that they're really saying what they feel about it? So that's the topic today. We'll take some questions here on Instagram if you have any, and we'll share our thoughts really quickly over the next few minutes. So when I hit you with this topic this morning, what did you think?
Yeah, well, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's something that is so like part of our world now that we could just never go back, but it really is like they're kind of a big part of the gear industry, and it's just like you have people that the consumer, right, but then also the manufacturer, and then they make it, and then they release it to the market. But then if it doesn't just sit on them, if it sits on the shelf in the market, like, they're not going to be around for much longer. So it's like you have to pair with these like awesome demo guys or cool artists to get your stuff seen, and I think that there's a lot of people that have been doing it really well, but it is that, and maybe I'm just like a big like cynic, sorry everybody, but it's just kind of like everything we see these days is kind of like an ad, or there's like more than meets the eye. It's like, why do they pay so much for like Super Bowl commercial airtime? Right. It's so you always take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, but that's something that I've grown up with, is like watching the demo guys and since I was a wee lad. It's just sometimes, you're kind of like, ooh, how much is really the truth, or is it just, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm doing an unbiased review, but you definitely like feel like some are more unbiased than others, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's kind of like you watch them and everything is like, this is the newest, greatest, whatever model that I've ever played, and then like 3 weeks later, this is the greatest, and it's kind of like maybe the hype part of it is probably the thing that probably bothers me more than anything, because you're like, man, every single guitar that comes through your shop is the greatest thing ever. And I know that's not true, right? You know that, right? There's guitars, like I've got an unnamed brand guitar in my house right now that I'm borrowing from a friend, and it's a $5,000 guitar, and it's not my favorite guitar, not even close. The price would say that it should be like amazing, but it's not. And so I think it's like you see that and you kind of get tired of it. I know that a lot of there's like this fatigue of kind of the, like you were saying, this like marketing push that's like it's hitting everyone, and you're just like, man, I don't know if this is really good. We did a video about kind of like the way that stuff is released, and a lot of people talked about kind of that fatigue of like a new pedal comes out and you've got like 30 guys demoing it. And I get that's how the system works. Like we're part of this machine of an industry. But it really feels like, who do you trust in that? And for those who are watching this live or for watching this later on YouTube, we'd love to know some of your favorite demo guys that you do feel like you can trust, and maybe they feel more personable. And I kind of like those guys that do take stuff apart. There's a lot of guys that kind of like pull the pickups out, like, let's see what's really going on. Let's look at the wiring. Let's look at that.
Check my work.
Yeah, and while that doesn't necessarily mean good or bad on a guitar, it's kind of like they're just getting into the weeds a little bit deeper, rather than just because the truth is, a lot of the times these people are getting paid. They're getting at least free gear, but sometimes they're getting paid on top of that, upwards of, possibly a few $1,000s, depending on who it is and the size of their channel. So those people are probably pressured to say, that's what kind of you were saying off camera, is though those people are pressured to say nice things because they don't want to lose that relationship with the manufacturer who pays them 4 times a year and sends them all this gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess our kind of main thing is how do you know that it's authentic? How do you know that it's trustworthy type of demo? So that's kind of what the topic is today. So like, do you have any favorites that you kind of like go to? You're like, oh, I trust this guy, or kind of some of your favorite channels that you dive into?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Andy Martin.
Yeah,
of course, everybody
obviously
knows and loves him. He's kind of like our, he would be on our Mount Rushmore of like guitar demo guys. I can remember being like 12, 13 years old and just like watching the Pro Guitar Shop stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was just super cool and super informative, no frills. And that maybe was kind of one of the first ones where he really was just like, hey, check this out, and he wasn't like, I can't really remember if he was like, all right, you can, buy all of these, buy our stock button, I don't think it was ever like that. It was just kind of like, here you go. And for me, like, he kind of had like a really cool like hook, and it kind of kept you interested because he didn't really, and I think he still doesn't really use a pick. So you're kind of like, how is he doing that?
Yeah, right.
And so you're like, that sounds cool. How is he doing that? Like, that's a cool guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so it just really, maybe I just have fond memories of that. And so, like, to me, he's kind of like, the kind of the standard. It kind of like said that, But then I also, like, the Andertons guys, like, around that same time, like, there would be times where I'd be feeling pretty lonely, and I just put on an Andertons, and I'm like, I'm hanging out with, Chappers and the Captain, and that really, like, that was a good thing too. But I like a lot of the people that, that they're almost like, you almost can't tell that they're like demoing like a pedal. Like, it just seems like they just bought the pedal and they're like, check this out. Like, there's this one guy called Cyber Attack, I think, one word, and he has like a series called like How to Be Advanced.
Okay.
And he just takes like a complicated pedal and shows you like weird, he's like, hey, I found this weird sound with it. And, it's like he has a lot of these cool, like, higher profile pedals, I would say, a lot of Strymon stuff and like the Chase Bliss stuff. So it's like he, that must be a way of, how that works out for him. But it's like really, like, I value what he says because I don't feel like I'm it's like an advert the entire time, even if I'm getting an ad before and after the video. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I'm not trying to knock the hustle. It's like, this is a cruel world out there, and you gotta make your way how you can. And it's cool when you can find it like a musical way to kind of, keep music in your life, rather. It's like, we all have to have jobs and monies and whatever, but when you can keep music in your life, whatever the degree, like, that is the ultimate goal, I think. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Pedal Couple, there's, which are great demos, by the way. The Pedal Couple does kind of, a lot of people write songs around whatever gear they get, which I think is kind of my favorite style. Yeah. It's like, what does this gear actually do? It's like, how does it make you want to play more? How does it inspire you? And I think that I remember back in the Pro Guitar Shop day, because we did a handful of demos with Andy, and it was kind of like, they of course had their own products that they were promoting through those demos, but then you could kind of pay to play. And I want to say, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's probably between $700 and $1,200 per demo. Which at the time, in the early parts of Pro Guitar Shop, their channel was growing like crazy. I was like, man, maybe we could get into this. And so we did a handful of demos, and we still probably sell pickups based off of those demos from a long time. So definitely not like against this whole machine and the way that it works. I just wonder if people are kind of getting like a little fatigued with it, if they're feeling like, okay, this guy's kind of, people will say like, oh, he's a shill of this or that, and I don't want to like get into the weeds on that stuff, but sometimes it's like you watch a video and you're like, man, this guy seems to be just propping these things up so huge, and it's maybe not, right now it's like the budget guitar thing, right? A lot of people are like, oh, this is like the Strat killer and it's only $299, and
Yeah.
maybe not, so sometimes like that, yeah, it's just in the comments on YouTube and here it's like, yeah, who can you trust? Not saying that all these guys are shady, because they're definitely not. They're, like you said, they're hustling. They're trying to get. That's how they make. We sell pickups and we get paid. They make demos and they get paid. So there's nothing wrong with the way that it happens. It just sometimes feels like you're kind of like, is it really authentic all the time? And I know there's some people that actually are all negative all the time, which I don't necessarily like to go all the way there too, right? They're just like, let's rip apart every single Gibson that's there. Let's rip apart every single whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like the maybe the converse side of that as well. It's just kind of gets a little crazy, but yeah. Any kind of final thoughts as we wrap up? Thank you guys for watching this. If you're catching it after we're live, we're also going to replay it on YouTube if you want to leave some comments there versus the Instagram channel.
Yeah, just final thoughts. It's cool that we all are able to kind of just do this stuff though, and have our opinions, and really ultimately, yeah, that we're playing music. That's really the end game. But yeah, I hope that you have some cool people that you trust and review, and it really kind of helps take your playing to the next level, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks you guys for watching, and thanks for those on YouTube. On YouTube, we've kind of been doing this back and forth. Like we mentioned in the intro, we're just looking at a couple different screens. So as far as video editing and technology, this is like peak Porter stuff right here. I mean, there's certainly not, the level of some of our other peers, but we are doing what we can with the resources that we have. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being a part of what we do here at Porter Pickups. If you're unfamiliar with who we are, you can check us out at porterpickups.com. Thanks so much.
Yep, see you guys.